Breaking news from WRAL. Coverage you can count on.
Breaking this morning, a deadly crash on US 70. Clayton police have arrested someone in connection to the wreck. We will bring you the latest from that scene.
And it's starting off on a cool and chilly note for some of us out there. 40s and 50s for temperatures, but we do have some more 80s on the way. We'll talk about when they get here in our next system coming up.
Gas prices are going down. That downward trend for those fuel prices, what it means for the markets as economic concerns are up.
And a rusty red moon. A lunar eclipse changed the night sky. In case you missed it, we have a look at photos and videos from that spectacular celestial event. It was great to witness earlier this morning since it aligned with our work hours as getting up. And last night my daughter said, "Hey, Mom, I want to see it, so wake me up before you go to work." And sure enough, I did. And we just watched it from the front porch. Yeah, it was so beautiful. We'll have more images for you coming up. I'm Renee Chu.
And I'm Jeff Hogan. Great to have you along. Thanks for making us part of your Friday morning here. I was surprised Wake schools are in today on that teacher work day. Instead of having the day off, it would have been nice to get out and then be able to go back to bed. But Anthony Baglione is over in the WRAL Severe Weather Center right now with our current temperatures, Anthony.
Yeah, and I'm glad, guys, too, with that eclipse that we managed to see the cloud cover stick out of the area before it started to push back in. We're in the 40s right now for many of us, 50 degrees there in Fayetteville and Clinton. As you're headed out, though, it may feel a little bit cool, but comfortably cool for the majority of us. A little bit chilly there for our northern counties. We go through today, though, it should be a decent forecast overall. We're dry. We're going to hit a high of 71, and we'll see a nice mix of sun and clouds. There's a little bit of fog out there this morning, but that should burn off here in the next hour or so. We turn our attention, though, to Sunday, where we have our next weather maker on the way. This is going to bring the chance for at least rain and a few isolated storms. Likely, I would say our impact from this is going to be some gusty winds. We may see the chance for a few isolated tornadoes. That is yet to be determined, so I encourage you to keep checking back. There's the storm system, though. We start off our Sunday morning nice and quiet. We go through Sunday, let's say lunchtime is when this pushes in, and then through Sunday afternoon, we see some scattered storms. We're going to be watching this closely, and we'll talk about this more in detail when we meet in here in just a few minutes.
And just keeping my eye on the traffic situation outside. We were talking a little bit about visibility and it being reduced a little bit. So this right here is I-540 at Falls of Neuse, and you can see there just a little bit, not a whole lot through this camera, but just a little bit of reduced visibility there. Where you can really see it actually isn't with our traffic camera here, but just our shot of the skyline of Raleigh. So that's something to keep in mind as well there. One thing that I'm watching very closely is this map to see if there are any sorts of red spots that are popping up here. Nothing at all. I keep hitting refresh on the computer to see if there are any sort of crashes that are coming up. Not quite the case. Check back in with me a little bit to see if there's an update here. But for the most part, it looks green across the board this morning.
Breaking news. We have a deadly crash in Clayton that closed part of US 70 business. WRAL's Kelsey Coffey joins us live from the scene near Town Center Boulevard. And Kelsey, we now know that someone was arrested in connection with this crash.
Yes, Renee, that's new information coming in the last 30 minutes from Clayton police that one person was arrested for a DWI as a result of this crash. So we'll give you a live look now at the scene here. We know that at least one person died in the crash. You can see that one of the vehicles involved there, that white truck, so much damage there scattered on the ground. Crews are now working to clean up this aftermath. And then there's a second vehicle that's involved. It looks like that's a red sedan there. Traffic is being diverted now as crews are still working to clean all of this up. But we'll be sure to keep you updated on when they're going to be able to reopen this section of 70 business. If you're familiar with this area, the crash happened right in front of Sam's Express Car Wash. So right now we're just asking police if they can give us any more information about the names of the people who were involved in this crash. Kelsey Coffey, WRAL News, live in Clayton.
You see traffic getting rerouted around that, so you want to steer clear of it. Today, civil rights attorneys will join the family of Tyrone Mason to demand answers about his death. The family will hold a news conference 10 o'clock this morning alongside attorneys Ben Crump and Bakari Sellers. Mason was killed in a crash where the trooper's behavior was brought into question. WRAL has reported on this, the pursuit and crash that happened in October on Capitol Boulevard in Raleigh. It launched a massive investigation into the credibility of Trooper Garrett Macario and Sergeant Matthew Morrison. As a result, nearly 200 of their cases were dismissed.
Today is a makeup day for Wake County schools on the traditional calendar. So classes will be in session in exchange for that snow day back on February 19th. This is what conditions look like in Wake County on that day. Anyone miss this? Well, today was originally a teacher work day. We'll be in the 70s today.
We all remember it. Today, we're also taking a look at gas prices, which are on a downward trend. Nationally, a gallon of regular gas is at $3.07 a gallon. In North Carolina, it's $2.76. In Wake County, very similar to that state average, $2.77 a gallon. And WRAL's Eric Miller is live at Sheetz in Garner. Eric, how do these lower prices fit into the larger economic picture?
Well, Jeff, talking to experts, it's not really what we're supposed to see this time of year, especially numbers like this, 273 here at this Sheetz in Garner. If you want to fill up, certainly below what we would expect this time of year. Those experts pointing to things like spring break travel, as well as the changeover from that winter gasoline mix to that summer mix that would usually be driving prices up. They say there's a couple of things going on here. For one, OPEC has said they're going to be increasing production here next month. That's pushing prices down. But the biggie right now, that's economic uncertainty. Take a listen to what the folks at Gas Buddy had to say about the impact that's having.
Right now in the driver's seat is economic uncertainty. We've seen the stock market selling off. A lot of these trade wars and tariffs that have been talked about, that have been paused, cause a lot of uncertainty, and that uncertainty is negatively impacting the price of oil, pushing it lower, at least for now.
For now, and that's potentially going to continue as long as that economic uncertainty lasts. These gas prices, they have been trending down for about 16 weeks now. We'll be watching closely to see what happens next. In Garner, Eric Miller, WRAL News.
Canada's finance minister says the country is still open to talking about tariffs. In a meeting with U.S. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick yesterday, both trade leaders agreed to keep working on solutions. Right now, tensions are high in trade relations between the U.S. and Canada. The leaders spoke at length about mutual tariffs on aluminum steel. They did not bring up the impending 200% tariff on American dairy products.
The clock is ticking to avoid a government shutdown. Let's take a live look at the Capitol building in D.C. Lawmakers in Washington have until midnight to vote on a spending bill. Last night, Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer said he will vote yes on the GOP's continuing resolution to avoid the shutdown. This comes a day after he vowed the Democrats wouldn't allow it to pass. The bill would keep the government funded through September. If both parties cannot reach a deal, the government will shut down at midnight.
New this morning, if you're up this early, maybe you were up early enough to catch this morning's total lunar eclipse, the first in nearly 3 years. This video was taken by WRAL photographer Michael Joyner. You can see the red tint caused by the Earth's shadow being cast onto the moon. So cool, and what a spectacular sight.
12 people were taken to the hospital after this American Airlines flight caught on fire on a runway in Denver, Colorado. Take a look at the people as they walked out onto the wing of that plane. This is amazing how they had to escape those flames and the smoke. The flight was on its way from Colorado Springs to Texas, diverted to Denver because of reported engine vibrations. And while taxiing to the gate, the plane caught on fire. All the reported injuries are considered minor. The FAA said it will investigate the fire. WRAL's Liz McLaughlin happened to be at the Denver airport shortly after that plane caught on fire. And coming up in the next 30 minutes, we will hear from the passengers she talked to who were on that flight.
It will be the Battle of the Blues Part 3 tonight in the ACC tournament in Charlotte. UNC and Duke will face off on the court tonight at 7 in the semifinals. Let's take a look at the bracket right now. If UNC can beat Duke today, they have a good chance of making the NCAA tournament. The Blue Devils will be one of the top teams in the big dance, no matter what.
And Duke will likely be without star freshman Cooper Flagg tonight. This is the moment Flagg sprained his ankle in the first half against Georgia Tech yesterday. He was helped off the court, taken to the X-ray room at the Spectrum Center in a wheelchair, and then he walked back to the bench for the second half, but did not play any further. Duke head coach John Shire said the X-rays were negative, but he described Flagg's chances to play as unlikely.
Convinced by everybody in the locker room when I go back that he should play. You know, it's not worth it. it's not about being ready to go tomorrow. That's not the most important thing for us. We got to see if we can get them right for this run that we can make in the tournament.
We'll have team coverage from the ACC tournament in Charlotte tonight. Chris Lee, Pat Welter, and Brian Murphy will have that coverage right here on WRAL. Threatening messages. People are receiving scary scam texts claiming to be cartel members. How the Wake County Sheriff's Office recommends you handle these threats.
And St. Patrick's Day weekend. All the festivities that are happening ahead of Monday's holiday. Your out and about best bets are just ahead.
As we check in here with our severe risk across the country today, it's going to be pretty significant back towards St. Louis and into Iowa. We have parts of this system headed our way, though we'll time out if the severe risk will still stick with this system coming up.
As you get into your car, tune to WRAL News Plus on your radio. In Raleigh on 99.3 FM. In Durham, 96.5 FM. And everywhere on 101.5 HD3.
It is almost 6:14 here on what is likely to be a busy Friday across some parts of the country. Not us. We're looking good, but this is going to be a pretty significant storm system. If you have family out there into St. Louis, Omaha, Chicago, I would definitely make them aware of this system. We're looking at a level 4 out of 5 risk where you see that red outline, and it's still pretty significant, even though where you get outside of that into those slightly lower levels, but still decent. We head into tomorrow. That same storm system pushes farther to the east. But then as we get into our Sunday, that's when we start to see that potential for us, mainly during lunchtime and into the afternoon. Likely some gusty winds with this. There could be a few isolated tornadoes, but that's a pretty limited threat right now. We're going to continue to watch that, though, through the weekend.
And what I'm watching right here is the reduced visibility that you were reporting about a little bit ago there, Anthony, where you can see at I-40 at Trinity Road, you can see just a little bit there as people are driving on the road where there is slightly a bit of a reduction of the visibility there. But for the most part, as we're looking at the map across the triangle area, I mean, we're not seeing any crash icons, which this is good. The only thing I've been able to track was the amount of different construction areas that are happening. But for right now, if you're headed out, you shouldn't have any issues where you're going.
Chris, thanks. Threatening text scams are becoming more common. A woman reached out to WRAL about texts she received saying, "I am the hitman who manages this operation. I have strict order to eliminate rats like you." The scammer then demanded money and sent photos of guns and dismembered bodies. The woman reported those messages to the Wake County Sheriff's Office.
In the back of my head, I'm still very aware of my surroundings, looking around, locking my doors. I still feel scared.
If you get texts like this, law enforcement recommends do not respond to questionable texts or emails from strangers. Don't send any cash in the mail, and don't answer the phone unless you know who's on the other end of the line.
This morning, New York's Democratic Governor Kathy Hochul is scheduled to meet with President Donald Trump. The two are expected to discuss a pipeline during the White House visit. Trump has previously discussed expanding an existing gas pipeline into New York. Officials have rejected the proposal due to environmental concerns.
There's another place for you to get treatment for your pets in Durham. A groundbreaking ceremony was held for the new Bahama Road Veterinary Hospital. It's a $10 million state-of-the-art facility that'll be located on Snow Hill Road. It'll be 15,000 square feet and have 2 miles of walking trails around it. Construction should be finished by the spring of next year. St. Patrick's Day weekend, that means a lot of celebrations and chances to wear the green.
Let's start off WRAL's Out and About with a big St. Patrick's Day parade in Raleigh tomorrow. The parade will kick off at 10 a.m. on South Salisbury Street and move up through West Morgan and then down Fayetteville Street. It will end at West Lenoir Street. This annual parade will feature marching bands and local organizations, but no motorized vehicles. Organizers opted to not include them this year. Last year, Jeff O'Hogan was the Grand Marshal. This year it is Angus Barn owner Van Ure. Street closures around the parade will start at 8 a.m.
Van is going to have a blast, trust me. There are also some live music options for you this weekend. The North Carolina Symphony will be performing the music of Queen at May Mandy Concert Hall in Raleigh. There is a show tonight and 2 shows tomorrow. You can expect to hear all of Queen's greatest hits, including We Are the Champions, Under Pressure, and Bohemian Rhapsody, which I hear in the background right now.
Yeah, gotta get that swell.
Tickets start at $54.
Also in town, rapper Lil Wayne. He is performing at the Lenovo Center tomorrow. Tickets are still available. They start at $68. For more on these events, go to WRAL.com and search keyword out and about. So lots to do this weekend, but the weekend forecast, the day we want you to pay attention to, Sunday with that unsettled weather.
Yeah, already been declared a WRAL Weather Alert Day. Now, Anthony Baglione in the WRAL Severe Weather Center. We have something else creeping in this morning, huh?
Yeah, we've seen some of that fog out there this morning after our kind of spooky looking eclipse earlier, and now we're seeing a little bit of that light fog for many of us. It's not going to be a lot, though, over the next couple of hours. Most of that should start to move out. And that was our Durham camera, and you can see about, let's say, 5 miles out in front of you there at the lowest, 4, I should say, in Rocky Mount. The majority of us, though, just seeing slightly reduced. For perspective, though, the National Weather Service doesn't issue any dense fog advisories until we're down to about a quarter mile visibility. We're going to go for a high of 71, though, today. It should come with a lot of sunshine. All in all, a really nice Friday with really no issues for us out there. Where we start to see the potential, though, for some unsettled weather is into Sunday. This is at the very least going to be a wet system that comes through as far as rain. We may see some storms. We may see some gusty winds. The key question, though, with this that we're still fine-tuning is how much instability can form and build into the area. At the moment, it looks like it may remain relatively limited, which would limit that severe potential. Nonetheless, though, you see, we are still, it's going to be a given that we're seeing rain coming through lunchtime through the afternoon on Sunday and then pushing out by Sunday evening, let's say about noon up until 8. So again, likely rain and gusty winds. We're looking at probably 35 to 45 mile per hour gusts. I would say at this point, a possible tornado threat. So keep checking back. The Storm Prediction Center is going to continue to fine tune our risk as we get closer, but a possible tornado risk and likely severe as far as the gusty winds and rain coming through. 81 degrees tomorrow, though. Definitely the pick day of the weekend is Saturday. We are not looking at any impactful weather, maybe a slight sprinkle at most. Really, that's going to be about it. 73 on Sunday. We get through next week, though, looking really nice with those high temperatures still in the 70s and 80s.
And I'm still keeping my eye on the traffic situation for the most part. Nothing, again, has really changed as I'm seeing here. Green across the board, no red spots, which is pretty good. So you shouldn't have any issues whether you're going to Durham or the airport. It's pretty smooth sailing on Friday, which, I mean, that's a gift going into the weekend, right? I want to show you one of the cameras I've been watching again this morning. I keep showing you this, but I-540 at Falls of News, just because there's a bit of a contrast between what I'm seeing in this camera in terms of visibility versus what I'm seeing in this camera at I-40 and Trinity Road. You see how there's kind of the difference there? It's a little more foggy in this camera and then not so much in this one here at I-540 at Falls of News. So I'll keep watching that for the remainder of the 6 o'clock hour to see if there are any trouble spots, but for the most part, it's looking pretty good.
Thanks, Chris. Celebrity engagements, what we know about the NFL couple taking the next step.
And she gets the job done. Chapel Roan put out a new song. All the details ahead in What's Trending.
This What's Trending report, sponsored by Rug & Home.
A professional football player and singer are engaged, but it is not Travis and Taylor.
It's not? Who could it be?
No.
Chapel Roan, as well, released a long-awaited single.
Okay, so first, DK Metcalf is officially engaged to singer Normani. He broke the news during a news conference about his upcoming trade from the Seahawks to the Steelers. Metcalf says his biggest priority was making sure both of their families were there when he popped the question. So sweet.
Yeah, so she's a singer. She sang with Camila Cabello in a girls group. DK Metcalf traded from Seattle to Pittsburgh. So my big question is, I hope she's okay with Pennsylvania.
Yeah, well,
moving to the Steel City.
Well, it's probably a dual package now.
Right, exactly. Chapel Roan's long-awaited single, The Giver, is out now. She debuted the song on Saturday Night Live back in November. Her new country tune features the lyrics, "She gets the job done." So, of course, the music video outfits her with different occupations there, certainly in order.
Okay, yeah, we've got firefighter, Plumber?
Looks like a plumber, yeah.
Dentist? And maybe a reporter. Don't see a reporter there. Well, the countdown to Buc-ee's opening in North Carolina is on. It's a long countdown. Mendon Mayor Ed Hook says the North Carolina location could open up by early 2027. The popular supersized gas station and convenience store will be built along Trollingwood-Hawfield Road off of I-40. Hook says the North Carolina Department of Transportation has almost reached an agreement for a road widening project. He says if the project starts in the summer, it will take about 18 months to finish.
All right, as we check in here with our live camera in Durham, we're seeing a little bit of fog out there, but the majority of our day is going to be really nice with highs in the low 70s. Our next system that brings some rain and storms for parts of the weekend. We'll walk through when it gets here coming up.
Protests in Trump Tower. Nearly 100 people were arrested for trespassing. How they voiced their support for pro-Palestinian activist Mahmoud Khalil.
A crash killed a person on US 70, and that road is closed in both directions in Clayton. We'll tell you what we know about the people involved.